Hello everyone and welcome to another Arcane Mage video. In this video I'm going to show you the point of view of Arcane Mage in Heroic Shad'har encounter in Ny'alotha. I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges that Arcane faces for this encounter and maybe some tips and tricks, and also perhaps some of the mistakes I'm making, things to watch out for as you play Arcane. The main thing to look out for, of course, is the black swirls that interrupt your casts. Every so often you see my character getting hit by one right there. And this is particularly onerous for Arcane because in our burst windows with Arcane power we want to be standing still. So we have to find a way to maximize our efficiency while still avoiding these puddles. You'll notice that I do that in part by using the Azeroth Guardian instead of Worldbane as my major, and that allows me to mitigate at least some of the movement requirement. When doing my Arcane Burst, I can kind of force into the opener a little bit more of my damage. And so on the opener, what I did was I popped my Guardian a little bit early before the pull, and also I started the fight by dropping Rune of Power about 1 second before the pull. The reason for this is it allows me to immediately gain 4 charges of arcane charges, and go right into my arcane power rotation within 2 GCDs, helping to avoid the very first round of those swirls. And that basically means that I can pump out quite a lot of damage in the first portion of this fight and maximize my utility. If we'd done a normal opener where we open with pre-pot into Arcane Blast, into our Azerite Guardian, into Rune of Power, and so forth, it would interrupt pretty much the entire portion of our arcane power. So we're looking to mitigate that, and that's one tip for those on Shad'har as Arcane. Think about that early opener as a place where you can really press in a lot of your cooldowns by using the Guardian. You can see also throughout this fight I'm trying to make use of my Greater Invisibility to mitigate the damage from Spit or other such things. On Mythic, you may also have to be moving a little bit more across the field to, if you get fixated by the sledges, you're going to have to take them to a specific spot and then bring food into Shad'har and feed him at different stages. But Arcane doesn't struggle too much with that because you can play within your window, but just be aware that there might be something a little more disruptive than just the black swirls that are coming down. The other main concern outside of the black swirls that keep falling on players is his breath attack, which you saw, the slurry. And in stage 1 this is the most annoying and lethal for Arcane in Heroic and Mythic difficulties. You can see here I'm going into another burst window. You can see as you follow along on the DPS side that Arcane in this fight is going to swing up and down, so you'll begin with a huge burst, probably have a fairly good pull, and then you will have these sort of ebbs and flows of your damage, which is quite natural. And the advantage of something like this is even though we lusted on pull, you're generally going to actually lust in the secondary portion of this fight in order to help the healers out, because it's very healer intensive on Mythic. But you should still have your arcane power up for those portions and be able to make use of your Azerite Guardian, putting the whole package together. And then as we get to the third phase, you just have the green goo going out, but it's very similar. The slurry breath is going to be very much the same mechanic, and you're going to try and do your best to make use of displacement where possible and essentially limit your movement. You'll notice that I'm essentially keeping the same strategy of trying to stay above 70% mana at all times when I'm outside of my arcane power window. And the reason for this, of course, is because of one of our Azerite traits, Equipoise, which is granting us a large damage amp when we're above that threshold. So here we get closer to the end of the fight, and I'm just going to try to stand still, use my arcane power one more time, and blast down the boss. I think I end up using invisibility again just to try to mitigate damage. Invisibility is great because if you're in movement and taking a lot of damage, you'll stay invisible and therefore you'll retain the damage reduction from it. But even if you immediately on the next GCD cast a spell, you will automatically gain about 2 seconds worth of damage reduction, so it's still useful in that regard. Anyways, thought you guys might enjoy this. We got some loot. Have a good one.